Yeah, I mean, it's been a phenomenal year at SpotX, and certainly a lot of the growth we're seeing, particularly in the US market, has been around OTT. We think this is a total sort of game changer for the TV business. On the panel, we talked about a lot of the legacy challenges with addressable advertising in television. In the US market, the distributors controlling the capabilities for addressable, while the programmers control the majority of the ad inventory, and just not being able to sort of come to terms on expanding that. We think OTT really changes that game, where both distributors and programmers have the ability to sell on an addressable basis against the full inventory pool. And obviously, consumer behavior and consumption is driving that growth.
Now, you work with lots of the best broadcasters in the US and around the world. What are best-in-class broadcasters doing to capitalize on this opportunity?
So we work with the whole spectrum of providers, right? That's everything from the programmers and broadcasters, as you alluded. That's some of these newer direct-to-consumer services, a number of which have really started to gather scale. That's the distributors, the virtual MVPDs, and also the device manufacturers, increasingly so, sort of figuring out their direct-to-consumer approach and sort of their ads businesses as well. And so working across that spectrum, I mean, it's just a really exciting market to be a part of.
But I guess broadcasts are interesting because they have legacy. They have big traditional broadcast businesses which aren't broken. Yeah. This is all new growth, new teams. So how are they addressing that opportunity? Are they building dedicated teams? They're working with people like you. They're trying to patch together the inventory they have across different platforms, devices, and so on. What are the best people doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's complicated, right? So we see certain media owners coming to market with direct-to-consumer offerings, sort of their own apps. We see the broadcasters really collaborating with the distributors, the virtual MVPDs, to enable these capabilities on the inventory, which again, they control most of. We see them really focusing on what value can they add from an audience standpoint? How can their first-party data enhance the offering? So certainly busy on the supply side, but really exciting to see that stuff come to fruition.
So there's a lot of talk in Cannes at the moment as well about fragmentation.
Yeah.
And there's lots of talk about collaboration and beneath the standards. There are some big initiatives underway in the US at the moment. Do you think those initiatives can really help to step change the market? Are they material? Are they going to move things forward in the 2020s?
Yeah, we certainly see on the technology side, a duty to work through the fragmentation and the changing regulation around audience and targeting capabilities, around measurement. I mean, we're hard at work with not only our customers, but partners across the industry to really streamline those concepts. You also, though, probably a differentiator between the US and Europe, have a lot of inventory fragmentation in the market in the US in terms of who gets inventory rights depending upon how the consumers are accessing content. Less so, actually, in many cases in some of the European markets. So, for example, what we're doing around addressable and the HbbTV standard in markets like Germany and France and Italy, for the most part, the broadcasters control all of the inventory, and they're just bringing these new capabilities to market, not as much dealing with the fragmentation and distributors having an inventory share, et cetera.
It's fascinating how different every market is.
Yeah.
When you look at the US, a lot of people talk about the MVPDs and their interesting role in the addressable market, less so in the streaming market, I think. Do we need a different type of commercial relationship between the distributors and the programmers to really unlock the potential of addressable? There's the famous 2 minutes problem for every hour. Would a different commercial model help unlock more spend?
Yeah, so I think that alludes to what we talked about, sort of the business friction of the distributors having the capability to do addressable in linear, but only having a small percentage of the overall inventory, the programmers controlling most of the inventory, but not having the capability, and just trouble coming to business terms between the two parties. We do think OTT is the game changer for that. So whether a media owner is bringing their own content direct to consumer, now everything is inherently addressable, or if they're collaborating with some form of distributor, like for example the virtual MVPDs, some of which are the same companies, others are new entrants to the market, enabling that full inventory pie from an addressable standpoint. That's what we think is really going to unlock the potential.
And final quick question, rest of 2019, what can we expect to see from SpotX?
Yeah, I mean, certainly continued investment in OTT, certainly continued international expansion. Growth in the US is still our largest market, but growth in Europe has been really interesting with new products like the addressable TV product I alluded to. Big investment in Asia, certainly spending more time over there, which is a huge opportunity. So yeah, we're really excited about the future at SpotX.
Great way to close the decade. Sean, thank you.
Thank you.